Hi, hello, and welcome. I am definitely not Vlad, and you're watching me gear up my character by doing level 10 keys. We're doing level 10 keys because the vault gives you better rewards for every 2 key levels you manage to gain. So it'll give you a certain item level reward at level 6 key, and then at level 8 key is the next tier, next item level reward, and then the next item level upgrade is on the 8 key, and so on and so forth. So we're going to go for some 10 keys. Another reason why we're going for 10 keys is, oh, some of these didn't sell. Another reason we're going for level 10 keys is because level 9 is the key level at which champion tier or champion upgrade tracked tier drops. And level 10 is the highest level key where Drake Crest fragments still drop. And we are going to need Drake Crest fragments, or rather Drake Crests, to upgrade all this champion gear that we're getting. So we're going to be doing some level 10 keys. I think we're starting off with an Underrot. So I'm going to form a group for that and see if we get any loot. We can get a weapon from there, which would be amazing. All right, here we go with Underrot 9 because the first one failed because people didn't know how to do Incorporeal. I cut it short right at the first boss because there just wasn't anyone doing the actual affix, which was infuriating, to put it lightly, but this time I made sure everybody knows how to deal with it and actually has an ability to use on it. I'm gonna pop everything because this is big enough. Okay, somebody decided to body pull those because, you know, why bother looking where you're standing when you can just zug zug YOLO. Yeah, the focus in any group where there is a rotten, or what do they call it, fetid maggot, is to make sure that you interrupt the maggot casts or that you're not standing in a way where the maggot will be able to cast on you. I'm going to go down this side because we cleared all the maggots or ticks on that side, so we don't have to worry about body pulling them since somebody already did that for us. We're going to adjust our route so that we don't have to pull as much trash while we're going through the dungeon because we pulled the one group. So we're able to either skip one worm later on, or we can skip a group of lashers at one point. I think I'm going to skip the worm, depending on whether or not we pull the lashers accidentally, because that can sometimes happen where we pull the lashers accidentally. Okay. I'm going to focus on interrupting the harrowing, because that's something that'll wipe us for sure if it goes through, but the oh, well, somebody else interrupted it, so we're going to have to there we go, I got the incapacitating roar off on that. I'm going to use our thingy thing with the stuffy stuff, the thing that heals our group members. I need to make sure that I use the hibernate. Interrupted that, everyone used it on the same. Okay, well, I'll take that over people not using it at all. So there were 3 people that used it on the same target. Okay, let's see. We can bloodlust here. I'd like it if people bloodlusted here. There we go. We got the bloodlust off. That means we're going to have to go do the third boss and then the second boss if we want the bloodlust for the second boss. The mage is kind of just standing right in the middle of that. That's a little bit annoying, but we'll deal with it. Move this over to the other one because it was interrupted. I'm going to... This boss is dying relatively quickly, so I'm just going to go ahead and not deal with it. I'll cast it on this one that's further in behind. This was interrupted and then it was hibernated. Very good. Bit of a shit show. I don't want to spend my my rebirth on this. That would feel really, really bad. So I'm just going to wait it out. Hopefully nobody else dies to the whatchamacallit, the creeping rot. Mage was doing quite low DPS in the first pull, if I'm remembering correctly, so I'm not too worried about the mage not being alive. The only thing that might be a downside from the mage not being alive is that we have one fewer person that can deal with the affix if it happens. Okay, we got that. I'm just gonna rest. On the trash, the mage was doing less than I was, which is not always a good indicator, but hey, I'll take it. Hopefully nobody pulls these ticks. These ticks are actually really annoying to deal with. We're going to take these guys, that's okay. We can then skip these next 3 lashers back there. Seems to be an incorporeal in the back, but we are line of sighting it, so it doesn't matter that it spawned. Okay, the shaman's actually quite good at interrupting. Okay, this shaman knows what's up. This shaman's definitely the MVP of this run. I'm enjoying it. So far, so good. I do not have the spell that I can use on the person that's afflicted by the disease from the lashers. I'm going to pull one of the blood swarmers because it's good to have at least one blood swarmer in your pool, because that way you don't have any point where you might have to deal with two blood swarmers in your pool. Unfortunately, I failed my interrupt there on the blood swarmer. I'm going to root the blood swarmer. Hopefully the mage blinks away. They did. Very good. Now I have nothing to help them deal with the blood swarmer, so I'm just going to try and kill it. DPS looks good enough to do a +9 key. I'm okay with that. I'm going to go and we're going to pull this, and the feathered maggot. We don't want to pull the second blood swarmer. I don't want to have to deal with two blood swarmers in one pull. That would really suck. I'm going to interrupt that. I'm going to incapacitating roar for the feathered maggot so it doesn't actually get its cast off. We're going to root this. Hopefully the other druid decides to actually move away from that. We're going to knock back the maggot so it doesn't get its cast off. I'm going to finish up the blood swarmer, and we're going to deal with the one that got pulled accidentally. I would assume it was accidental. And we can actually pull another fetid maggot over there. So the next time we pull, it's going to look like it's two blood swarmers, but I'm actually just going to grab one blood swarmer. Let's root this. I'm going to grab one blood swarmer and pull the trash that's in the hallway behind that. Knock back this so that the maggot doesn't get the cast off. Can actually pull the blood swarmer now while we're still dealing with this group. Then I don't have to do the weird pull with the hallway. I don't actually have anything to deal with the maggot, but it's dead, so I don't have to deal with the maggot. Interrupt that, make sure that doesn't go through. It's still focusing the druid. The druid just doesn't give a shit, so I don't think it's a big deal. We are out of combat, so that'll despawn immediately, and we can pull the rest of the trash up to the boss. Do we do the boss or do we not do the boss? I think we actually... I don't know for certain. I'm actually not sure what to do here. We're going to put that down and knock them back. That'll pull them all back in. We knocked them back again for some reason, even though the maggot wasn't casting anything. I do have incapacitating roar for this one. I'm going to use it just to be safe. It was probably going to die before it cast it, but better safe than sorry. We're going to go ahead, and I think the call is to pull this boss. I'm just going to give some people some time to pre-position. The hunter's on his way. Pulling in 3, 2, 1, now. I'm going to, ideally here, you would position in a way when the charge goes off that the boss doesn't just travel in a long line. That is good enough, I guess. And now we want to deal with... There we go, that's good. We want to stomp on all the little maggots. I can't tell if there's someone behind me or not. People are not stomping on maggots, they're being very lazy. That's actually a really, really bad thing because these maggots are a huge AoE burst every time they die, and they also put a pretty nasty bleed on whoever they're hitting. People are lost in the sauce, it seems. Not everyone's quite good at dealing with this boss. That's okay. I'm going to have to use some personal cooldowns to survive here because there's a lot of damage going down. And the tantrum just happened. Now for the tantrum, he's going to keep running in a circle, doing AoE damage to the group, while also dropping a bunch of these little maggots. You want to stomp as many of the maggots as possible. There's going to be 4 maggots, it seems. 3, 2, 1 maggot. Only 1 maggot. Charge is going off. Nobody got hit by the charge. That's good. Next thing is a frontal cone. I'm going to move the boss, or point the boss away from the group so we don't get hit by the frontal cone. I'm going to try and stomp on all these little maggots. And then after that, there is a charge happening. Ideally, we would be positioned up against a wall so that we can have a short distance charge, but that's not really an option here because the fight is extremely spread out. I'm going to focus on stomping as many of these as possible. Okay, people have picked up on the fact that they need to start stomping these. I'm going to switch to travel form just to move around to be able to stomp more of these. And then I'm going to switch back to my bear form so I can actually take the hits, because he doesn't actually hit me while dealing with that. Okay, mage took care of that. Boss dies now if nobody messes up. If people just keep smashing on the boss, we should be good. There's a charge coming through. The mage got hit by the charge. It doesn't matter. The boss needs to die now. Not needs to, but would be very nice if the boss died now. Okay, that could have been maybe a little bit cleaner if we had a bloodlust, but I'll take what I can get. Some rapid-paced commentary. It was hard to even say everything that was going on. I'm going to save our AoE CC so we can interrupt both the Wicked Frenzy and the Void Spit there. Dark Echoes is a top priority interrupt because it does massive AoE damage to the group, so we want to make sure that that doesn't go through. It would be nice if other people kicked the spits, but oh well, you can't ask for too much, can you? I'm just going to help a little bit by healing this guy. And we're going to pull the next group. And this is a very small pull. Ideally, I would pull this into the next group, but I don't trust the interrupts that this group is using. I can trust that I will interrupt, and I can sort of trust that the shaman will interrupt. But the other ones I don't think are interrupting much at all. And it's actually really important on the next group to interrupt the curses that the two defilers do. Because the Shadow Bolt volley, of course you want to interrupt that as well if possible, but the priority interrupt is actually the curse, because that makes the Shadow Bolt volley actually do even more damage when it goes through. So I'm not going to interrupt this. Okay, they interrupted that. Hopefully somebody interrupts the curse on the next one. It's going to do a totem and it's then going to do a curse. Nobody's interrupting it because the two people that do interrupts... Okay, there we go. The hunter interrupted it. We had one stack of the curse. That's not too much. So even if another Shadow Bolt volley does go through, it's not going to hurt too bad. But also our damage is reduced by 10% per stack. And we take more shadow damage per stack. Okay, so here we don't have anyone with actual immunities. We could have the hunter run through with the turtle shell, but that is not exactly ideal. What we would really want to do is have a paladin bubble do it, but I guess I'll do this and just use a personal. There's going to be another shockwave, hopefully. That's going to take care of that. I got hit by one of those, so that's not ideal. Ooh, I'm getting my ass kicked a bit too much here. I'm going to try and utilize... Sorry, I'm not speaking much here because I'm trying to survive. While making sure that we take care of all the mushrooms. Because if the mushrooms stay alive, what happens is this thing does more and more damage because it blows up the mushrooms. Apparently I did miss one of the mushrooms, which is a bit of a bummer. But the first set of mushrooms is the worst part to deal with. So what you want to do as a tank is make sure that you take out enough mushrooms with the frontal, the shockwave, so that you don't have to deal with too many mushrooms. There's going to be a shockwave and then the thing will blow up, sending the spores across the room, what I like to call bullet hell. And we're going to step over here on this side and try to point the next shockwave into these mushrooms. It's only going to take care of 3, but we should be able to... Yeah, that mage definitely doesn't know what they're doing. The boss should be dead before the next explosion thing, but that was very, very frustrating to see that the mage didn't know where to put the actual upheaval. So you use the upheaval, the big swirly that drops on DPS and the healer, to make sure that you destroy the mushrooms. That's one of the ways to destroy mushrooms. Here I'm going to try and interrupt the curse. I don't care about the shadow bolts. If somebody else gets it, that's great, but I really, really, really just want to interrupt the shadow bolts. I use my incapacitating roar because the worm is susceptible to CC. I use the roar to make sure that I interrupt the dark echoes, and I use my actual interruptibility, the skull charge, to kick the curse. Here we could skip the worm. I'm just going to pull the worm. I don't care. I'm not 100% sure where my count is right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and pull the worm and call it a day. I'm going to interrupt that, and then I can CC. With incapacitating roar, I can CC the worm when he does dark echoes, which is now. I'm going to use it. There we go. Mage used the knockback. I'm not sure if that would have interrupted the worm, considering that the worm cannot be moved. The worm is stationary. So I don't know if the knockback would have actually interrupted the cast of that. Very good.
3, 2, 1.
Now here we're gonna just make sure that we don't get hit by the frontal cone from the Corruptor, which is a fear. We're also going to make sure that... oh, somebody's gonna hit by it. Yep. They're all gonna get hit by that, aren't they? So now we have a worm in the background. I'm going to kick these Dark Echoes, and I'm going to go over here so that I can CC the next Dark Echoes that this one does. Ideally, we would actually kill... and CC that. Ideally, we would actually kill the first worm before doing anything else, but people keep getting hit by the fear, so we're going to have a third worm get pulled. I'm going to switch back to this worm to kick it, finish it off, then we're going to go to that one, and just hope for the best. Honestly, this is a shit show because people don't know how to avoid the fear, and that's a really, really big issue. I have no way to interrupt this. There's nothing I can do. It's just going to get channeled through. I'm going to try and combat res the healer. Okay, he took the combat res. We're going to kill this worm. And hopefully people have learned how to dodge the frontal cone from the Corruptors. I've never seen people get hit by it this much. All of the range stacked, and all of them got hit by the same one, and all of them ran directly into a worm. The one good thing about that is now we 100% have the percent needed to clear the dungeon. So, and +9s are still so easy that even with all that, we still have enough. Yeah, people are just straight up just standing and not moving at all. Even with all that fuckery, we still have enough time to get this as a +3, so that's absolutely ridiculous if you ask me. Okay. I'm going to just hope for the best that these get interrupted. I did get feared, but I did get my incorporeal cast off, so I don't mind. We're going to kick the Dark Echoes, because that's the priority one. We're going to use a Frenzied Regen Charge to keep ourselves healthy, because the healer's preoccupied with other people, which is normal. And that druid has taken every single fear on the chin without failing. I'm actually impressed that he was able to get hit by each of them, because sometimes they don't aim at you. So this is very impressive. I'm going to step away from the portal thing, and then I'm going to res the druid. If you stand too close to the portal thing, you're going to get pushed in or pulled through, and your cast will fail. But I got the cast off before that was even a thing. But yeah, as you saw, I was maybe even too close while I was casting the res, but it doesn't matter. I got the res through. But that's something to keep in mind. We're going to quickly heal up the rest of the druid. Hopefully people know where to stand. Stack on me, and we should be good. So, we have Bloodlust rolling. Now the idea with this boss is, and it's a very positioning heavy boss, so it's again another boss that's extremely hard for pugs to do. But the idea is to not to stand in such a way that you always point the next breath thing into the back of the room where these are already present. Okay, and if you nicely stack, then you also always get the cleanse from whatchamacallit, from that little circle. Okay, so we are standing. Stack on me. Please stack on me. Please don't let the thing go through. Okay, it could have targeted this mage or whatever the hell was behind, and that could have been a huge issue. But it didn't, so we were lucky. So hopefully people stack on me. There we go. Now people are actually stacking on me. This is hard to survive because I'm typing instead of actually using abilities. One destabilize will go through. I still have a battle res available. Hopefully we can battle res this druid. I'm struggling to stay alive because I have just can't. There's too much for me to do here. We got the cleanse. We still have some room to actually play in. Oh, this is such a shit show because people just don't know what to do, and they're too busy doing everything except for the two things they need to do, which is position correctly and CC the affix. That's all they need to do. Okay. Just stack on me. There you go. People are figuring it out, slowly but surely. There's the vital explosion. We're going to move out of it. We have a hibernation available on that. That's good. I got my Heart of the Wild, or not Heart, after the Wildfire heal through. There we go. Do you guys understand how to do it now? Stack on me. No, you don't seem to understand how to do it. It's really not a hard boss fight, but people just don't freaking get it. There we go. Another after the Wildfire proc. I'm just going to let that mage stay dead because he's never in the right position. But then again, neither is that druid right now. We're going to have to run through some fields of shit here to get through where we want to actually go. Okay. I don't care if I don't get that cleanse. I'm going to make sure I actually get this guy in the back because I don't know if these guys will actually notice him. Okay, they did notice him. Now when it doesn't really matter as much, that's when they notice him, of course. I'm sounding very salty. It's because this boss is really not that hard at all if people do two things. Well, one thing, actually. The one thing you need to do for the boss is you need to just stand at the right spot in the room, which is the spot where it makes him puke if he targets you. It makes him puke into the existing spores, or spore zones. That was frustrating. This boss always frustrates me in pugs because there's always one or two people that don't know where to position, and then you always, oh wow, I got the weapon. Never mind, I'm in a good mood now. All's well, I got the weapon. Oh my god, that's such an upgrade. 376 to 415. So my item level goes from 405 to 410, and I get Draconically Superior. That's beautiful. Thank you for the run. And I'm going to leave now. Whew. That was rough, to say the least. That was rough. What is the next key I got? I got a Freehold 11. We're going to drop that to a 10, and we're going to go do it. Alright, we're doing another Freehold. I again made sure that we have people that know what to do with the affix. And I'm going to also... I also agreed with the hunter that we are going to use the pre-trap for the last boss ad. Very nice. We blasted the first group. Hunter is having some issues about doing damage. Doesn't seem to be doing all that much, but damage doesn't matter. What we need to do is we need to blast the bosses. This is tyrannical after all. Our first incorporeal should be coming in here in a second. Yep, they're behind there. We can line of sight them. Hopefully we do that. I'm spending too much time looking at the wrong thing. Oh, yep, everyone got hit by it because nobody's CCing it. I'm going to hibernate it. I thought we could line of sight it, but there was a combination of factors that led to us having to stand in line of sight of it. That's unfortunate, but I did CC it. We didn't get wiped because of it. Just going to prolong this trash fight for a little bit because we couldn't get all of our damage out because we had the debuff from the incorporeal, which is fine. It was partially my fault because I should have. I saw it, I noticed it, I should have hibernated it instead of just winging it. I'm gonna pull these. I'm not going to pop all of my cooldowns, just gonna use Bark Skin and Rage of the Sleeper, and we're gonna take these guys out. There's some very loud car coming through. Hopefully you guys can't hear that in the background. I can dispel the enrage from the doggo. Very good. Wild bombardment coming in. We are in a fully ranged group, so I'm the only one that has to worry about whatchamacallit. That doesn't have to worry about the bird. Okay. So we're again going to position the boss here so that when he transitions into phase 2, there's nobody who the bird goes here and only flies through the middle, and it makes it easy for everyone to avoid the bird damage. Here's the charge. Okay, we have the pre-trap on the affix because the hunter agreed that he can just pre-trap the affixes. Oh, he switched to phase 2 in a position where I don't quite like it, but we'll be able to deal with it. I don't think it's an issue. Those two people should spread out so that if he targets one of them, it doesn't hit both of them with the cone from the boss. Shouldn't be too big of an issue considering the fact that this is only a 10 key, but ideally they would spread out so that they don't all get hit by it. If Bebo gets targeted here, then all three of them are going to get hit by it. Luckily it was Loco, so it was only him that got targeted. or got hit by it. We're going to hibernate that in the background. It was also pre-trapped by the hunter. The hunter's doing a great job here. He's also blasting the single target DPS. I really like that. I can appreciate that. But overall, the DPS does seem to be quite low on the single target. But shouldn't be a huge issue. Should be able to get through the dungeon just fine even with that. I do have a little rule where I don't invite people who are too high item level. Here we have some people that should be doing more DPS according to their item level, but it's perfectly fine. People learn at all sorts of paces, so maybe they have geared faster than they've learned how to use the gear. Let's put it that way. Because right now it's very, very easy to gear, as you can see from my gearing journey, where I am now 410 item level, and I've played for very little time in total. I've done 2 LFRs, a couple of 3 like 5 dungeon quests that give you a champion piece, and I did just a few shit keys, let's put it that way, along with one key that gave me what this thing is, a weapon. I have 1 green left, which is my neck piece, and then I am basically fully purple. Actually, not fully purple. There are some blue pieces still left on my gear, but not a big deal. Duelist is charging in the spot because I was the only one that was in combat with him. I'm going to move a little bit so we don't get hit by that. The Trapper has engaged, but that's okay. I'm just going to pop an extra cooldown here. 2 of these are activating at the same time. Somehow I missed. One of them is going to go through. I'm stunned. I'm just trying to... There we go. I was focusing very intently on making sure that I actually CC that thing, because that is a bigger threat to me than these mobs ever will be, because it reduces my damage and my healing taken. Okay, I can stand on top of these traps and not give a shit. Oh, that person got bumped up above us. That's funny. That's one funny thing about the, what are they called? I'm going to use CC here to interrupt that duelist charge because I don't trust people to move out of it. But yeah, the C-spout from the oarsman can sometimes knock you up on top of the building, and that's kind of funny. Okay, so I'm noticing more and more that our DPS is not exactly stellar, but I do believe we can still do this. I don't think it's going to be an issue. It's not going to be a +3, but it'll definitely be done. I'm going to pull the Trapper. I'm going to pull this group. I'm going to pull the Swabby, yes. And we're going to pop a Frenzied Regen. We're going to pipe Survival Instincts here as well, because I have nothing else available. I'm going to interrupt this. I need to set up a few WeakAuras here in a second, because I am not exactly happy with the whole not being able to track when the Incorporeal is coming, other than just having the DBM thing tell me. I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. Alright, we have the Trapper. I want to finish off the Trapper before I pull anything else, because the traps are actually really doing a lot of damage to us. Okay, we got the Trapper. Now we have these 2 groups that are grouped up here, and this is a good time to pull them because they're fairly simple and easy groups to do. I'm going to be looking at the star marked. Okay. Oh, we got a lot of CC going through. We're going to interrupt the Blind Rage. That was not necessary, but it's also not an issue because all of them are knocked in the same direction, so they're still stacked up. It's not an issue that this person knocked them back. And it did interrupt some abilities, so that's okay as well. I'll grab the one that's further away. There we go. Very nice. Hibernated. So far, the Hunter has been the most consistent about actually trapping these and making sure that they're all CC'd. We're going to hit these, and we're going to pull the boss. So with this boss... Ooh, I should have checked my healer's mana. The healer's mana is pretty low. I'm hoping that they can make it through this. The boss is going to jump. We're already pre-positioned in a way where we're not going to have any issues. Somebody stood there and just took the boss to the face. We're going to have to switch to barrel. Hopefully people do switch to barrel. I probably shouldn't have moved the barrel boss towards that person so that they don't have a chance of getting hit by that. The other boss should be jumping here in a second. Grape shot is going through now. We're going to charge to the boss. We're going to run over here. I got hit by one of the grape shots, so we're going to use a frenzied regen charge. But right now it's rinse repeat. Just making sure that we don't get hit by the grape shot when she jumps out, and that we focus down the thingy thing with the stuffy stuff. Okay, so grape shot is coming through, and we also have a barrel coming through. I got disoriented. I can shapeshift out of it, so I'm gonna explain what I did there in a second. Immune? What the fuck do you mean immune? I got confused there for a second because I cast Hibernate on it and it said immune, but I think it's the Moonfire that went on it. So that's what it's saying is it's immune to. Grape Shot is coming in a second, but I think she dies before that happens. But yeah, what happened with the barrel, sorry, I was trying to manage all of the other stuff that's going on and also explain what I did with the barrel. But the barrel, basically the way it works is it will fall onto a person. But if the person moves when the barrel's coming to them, you can actually make it fall on top of you. I'm going to move the boss away from that person so they don't get hit. I don't think they'll get hit by that. Hopefully people break them out of the barrel. Yes, they did break them out of the barrel. But the way it works is if a person moves out of the barrel spot where it drops, somebody else can stand on that spot and get hit by the barrel. If I get hit by the barrel, it's a much easier thing to deal with than one of the other DPS players being hit by the barrel. Because first of all, I'm the tank. I can take the damage of being hit by something while I'm stuck in a barrel. Second reason being, I am a druid, so I can shapeshift and get rid of the barrel. There I managed to do it. The next time I didn't manage to do it because the person didn't move, so it just hit them. Just gotta make sure I move out of that. But yeah, that's something you can do as a druid. You can also give the person freedom when they're in the barrel. So either Tiger's Lust from a monk or Blessing of Freedom from a paladin will remove the barrel effect from someone who it's already on. What you can also do is you can put Blessing of Freedom on someone before the barrel hits them, but that will leave the barrel on the ground. So do this only if it's on yourself. I believe that you cannot cast Freedom while it's... Okay, we're going to knock them back just so I get some breathing room because I got hit by a lot of stuff. Used Survival Instincts. I'm going to use Incarnation here. I have to cycle my cooldowns. I'm going to interrupt everything with a thingy thing with the stuffy stuff. What's that thing called? Incapacitating Roar. I'm going to kick this Frost Breath. There is one of these guys. Okay, somebody got it. That's good because I can't cast right now. I'm going to use another 2 cooldowns here, Parkskin and Raged Sleeper, to stay alive. I'm stuttering a lot because I'm trying to actually do this while also saying what I'm doing. Because this pull is a bit massive and I probably overdid it, but hey. You have another Incapacitating Roar to help with the fixation. I'm going to kick that Frost Breath so it doesn't go through because that's a lot of AoE damage. Okay, we managed to pull it through. I probably didn't explain everything that I was doing because I was just trying to survive, but overall, pretty good. I'm going to run over here and start this interaction.
2, 1.
Okay, they got pre-trapped. Beautiful. Okay, that was a good execution by the group. I'm going to let the healer... Mana. Sorry for pulling constantly. Yeah, the healer has been low mana pretty much the entire dungeon. We're going to go ahead and we're going to pull. I'm going to wait for this guy to start casting. Actually, I don't need to move. I'm going to interrupt the frost cast. I'm not going to interrupt the other cast. I don't really care. But the other cast, there we go. We got that interrupted. The rest of it doesn't really matter. 72%. Let's see what this group gives us. I do believe we also have to pull... Okay, well, I'm going to grab the one that I'm standing on. Okay, that one got trapped. I hibernated this one. That's good. But yeah, I still feel like I completely froze and got confused extremely on that second boss. That's because of the incorporeal ad going immune, like saying immune, but it was just immune to the Moonfire damage. It wasn't immune to the CC. I think I canceled my cast of the Hibernate. 79%. Okay, so once Ludwig does his thing, I think we're good to go. I'm just gonna pull these little guys. I don't think they're chained or linked to the Crusher. Somebody caught the pig, it seems like. Yes, they did catch the pig. We're just gonna take care of these little mobs while we wait for Ludwig to spawn in. Yes, we're already at 80%. Ludwig, I believe, gives 4%. With those 4%, we should be good to just clear. Oh, 81%. These guys give more than I thought they gave. But yeah, with killing Ludwig, like I explained on the first time I did Freehold, basically you just have to do the patrol in the 2 of the 3 groups after the crossing the bridge to the last boss. Now, Ludwig's damage counts as is buffed by fortified because he's considered to be trash, since he gives percent for enemy forces. And on fortified weeks, you want to make sure you don't get hit by these shells. Easiest way to not get hit by the shells is to not stand in the center of the room. We are going to move over there to try and... Okay, the hunter did trap it all as well. Okay. The healer went down because he was standing in some shells. I'm going to rest them so they don't have to run back. Another thing, if the group is in combat with either the boss or Ludwig, you cannot run into this area because these spectators will actually hit you with rotten food, and that'll pretty much one-shot you, if not two-shot you. So you have to wait for the group to be out of combat. You cannot join the fight after it begins. For Ludwig, it's more relevant than for Trothak.
2, 1.
We're not in combat. Why did those spawn in? That was weird. That was a weird interaction. Okay, let's get started. We're going to fight the boss over here. I'm just going to pop everything for the boss. The idea as a tank is to keep him next to some pools so that melee DPS have somewhere to lead the, what's that thing called? The shark. But since I only have ranged DPS and a ranged healer in the group, I don't really have to worry about that. The shark toss is just going to always go on to... we're going to try and attract the attention of the shark. We cannot do that. Okay. Shark got stuck in that. We're going to pop Barkskin and just tank this shark. I don't mind taking the damage from the shark. He picked up the shark. We're going to hibernate that. There we go. I don't want that going through. I'm going to pop 1 stack of my Frenzied Regen because I'm tanking the shark. Okay. I'm going to tank the shark some more with another stack of Frenzied Regen. He picked up the shark. Another shark is on me. I can take the damage from the shark. I'm not too worried. I'm going to start kiting it now, lead it into this, but he picked it up. There's going to be another shark going through there. There's plenty of pools for that person to kite into, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm going to save my defensive cooldowns for when there's a shark hitting me again. Like right now. I don't mind being hit by that. I can take that, especially with my defensive cooldowns going up. So when he picks up the dang shark, he actually hits you with a charge. We should be good here. Yeah, it dies before anyone can die to a shark. That's good. So we cleared that out. And now we can go do the last few pulls of the dungeon. So for these episodes now, I think I'm only going to do 2 dungeons per episode. I'm probably going to record more today is the thing, because I'm kind of falling behind on my schedule. I don't have as much content available to release as I would like. But I think the idea is going to be we do 2 dungeons per episode, and just keep doing that until we hit the rating we're trying to hit. I'm going to have to knock that back because nobody's interrupting these guys, which is a bit of an annoying thing. But yeah, all that to say that I'm just going to upload 2 episodes per day still, but I'm going to do 2 dungeons per video. Even though this is still me grinding out loot, I'm still going to do just 2 dungeons per video. I'm going to pop Survival Instincts here, because I got hit by that thingy thing. I probably should have used it before the soothe one of those guys. Probably should have used it before the oiled blade went through. I had a bit of a struggle there saying that, but my reaction speed is not what it needs to be for me to do that. Okay, we're gonna focus this target. I'm gonna pop Incarnation here because I'm more afraid of this than I am of the boss. We're focusing Stormcaller because that way I can use my interrupt on it. Okay. I'm trying to cast Hibernate because people are a little bit blind. We had one cast of the thing go through. Oof, I need to pop my defensives to survive because Oiled Blade on top of the destabilize was actually pretty rough, but we made it through. I can't remember what I was saying, but hopefully it wasn't anything important. Anyway, yeah, I wanted to use my cooldowns here rather than for the boss because the boss is piss easy compared to this. The hard part of this dungeon is just having people stay on top of the incorporeal. This is in general, like it's a much harder thing to deal with in lower keys because people just aren't ready to deal with it. They just kind of keep focusing on doing damage instead of immediately switching to deal with the affix, which is obviously the priority. Alright, so Loco just walked right on top of someone else with that. It's pretty nice. Good job, dude. We have an instant pre-trap, so we're good. Bibo's running away from a trapped NPC. That's always good to see. I'm going to use some defensive cooldowns, but I'm going to use them in a way that's basically offensive. So what Loco is doing is not something you should be doing. Basically, what you should be doing is waiting for 3 shots of the cannon to go off as the audio cue, and then moving the swirly or moving the zone, and then waiting for another 2 shots to go off, and then moving out. That way you leave the most space. This way you take up a shit ton of space because you don't need to constantly move. Okay, so people kind of know what to do, but not perfectly. The good thing is that the Grenadier is being pre-trapped by the Hunter, like I agreed with them at the beginning of the dungeon. I'm going to pop all of my offensive cooldowns here and try and do a bunch of damage. Is there one affix? It's just one affix. We're going to CC it. Everyone else is running around, so they can't do it right now. Luckily, they're all ranged, so I don't have to move the boss at all. I just need to stand here looking pretty. Okay, we're going to use Rage of the Sleeper, so that he deals damage to himself when he damages me. And I got a bunch of leech, but my survivability on this boss fight is of basically no importance. Alright, we got Keystone Conqueror for our first level 10 key. Very nice. Oh well, I'm going to grab this portal and I'm going to peace out. So I made the decision now that I'm going to go and do 2 runs per video. Basically, I want to have a video of me doing each dungeon fully. We've done the Freehold twice. I've just done it in this video, and I feel like I've explained everything that I do in there. I've done the Underrot on the ++9. I think I've explained everything that I want to explain in there. The Neltharus key was also pretty nice. Vortex Pinnacle, I got a good chance to explain that. I didn't get much of a chance to explain Uldaman Legacy of Tyr, so the reason I'm mentioning all of this is because in future videos, I'm going to cut down on these 4 keys. I'm going to edit them down instead of showing the full execution of the key. The reasoning behind this is I just don't feel like I need to keep explaining the whole dungeon every time. But the first time I do another Uldaman or any of these other 3 dungeons, I'm going to try and explain everything in the dungeon as I'm running through it. Some stuff I might miss because of the pace. I don't have enough time to explain why I'm doing something if I'm only doing it for about 4 seconds. But the general idea is basically I'm going to have more than 2 dungeon runs per episode, but at the very most, I'm going to have 2 full dungeon runs in an episode, if that makes sense. Anyway, this is just me commentating about what I'm going to actually show you guys in future videos, but that's the idea behind it. The reason I'm trying to put more than 2 dungeon runs in a single video is because I'm going to run out of time if I only do 2 dungeon runs per video. So I have to kind of push it. Anyway, I've rambled on enough. This made the video unnecessarily long here at the end. Hopefully you had the patience to listen through it, and if you did, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next episode.